Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso, and in today's video I'm gonna show you a high DB rated match against Ryzeal Blitzclique. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I have the Yummy Masterclass, the best Yummy content you can get in MetaFi for only $20 and over 5 hours of content that will eventually become even 7 or 8 hours of content because I'm gonna keep updating this shit. So give it a shot, okay? Now let's begin with this. I won the dice roll, which is always fine, except that that this hand kind of sucks right now, right? But it is what it is. Someone can make the argument that because I have a crookie here, maybe I should try to play around Ogre or Hydraulis by activating the crookie. But in this scenario, exposing that I have also the crookie that actually don't help me do any kind of play against any of the other possible hand traps is kind of a rough scenario. Like, yeah, we can think about that even more here because we know he has the Hydraulis Harmonia, right? But at the moment, we didn't. And if I was allowed just to keep playing, I was just going to lose the crookie because of the minion putting over it. So sadly, my opponent actually had as their only interruption the Hydraulis Harmonia, so it is what it is. But even if I put the crookie here, the crookie will have done nothing because he can just dump the dragon that bounce, and because it is my turn, I needed to trigger a crookie first. Chainlink 2 would have been that synchro, and it was a shitty situation for me anyways. So I don't think that putting the crookie just for the specific chance of my opponent having Ghost Ogre or the Blitzclique that pops is worth it. Because at this point, I don't know what he's actually playing, right? So here at least I make sure that I have my follow-up and that I can get rid of the Harmonia because I can equip the Requiem to the Engraver and send it. Someone can make the argument of here summoning the Lacrima, but then I don't have actually any way to put it in the graveyard so I can use its effect during my opponent's turn. So I value more the shot of getting rid of my opponent's monster. Well, guarantee 2 different engravers, right? So he need to banish both of them or do some shit like that in order for me to not have that follow-up. So he's gonna go with Ice Ryzeal. Like I don't have any way to interact with it. And here you can see kind of a weird play. I'm pushing the Sword Ryzeal, which is very weird because I already see that he used the Harmonia, so it was very obvious from this point to me that the deck that I'm playing against is the Blitzclique, right? However, the thing with this is that I can prevent the Edge Ryzeal to send the HYC that pops a set card, and therefore, if I didn't push right now, I was in a position where my push is effectively useless because it's going to be Chainlink 1 the Edge Ryzeal to add, Chainlink 2 the HYC to pop my push. An argument that I can understand more is why I did set the Dominus Purge, because I actually didn't need it I didn't have any kind of conflict with the attributes of my other disruptions, right? Bell is an earth, Ogre is a light, both attributes are allowed after I use Purge from the hand. However, the dark attribute won't be usable anymore, and I don't have my Yummy shit yet. Therefore, I will like more to my Fiensmith shit to become Capelia or to become even SP than the minimal show of my opponent having something to pop my Purge. Which in this case it happened, yes, but it is what it is, you know? I'm just trying to give you my logic here because if I don't draw any Yummy name, I need that my Fiensmith shit can become by itself the Yummy shit. Because at the end of the day, remember, yes, the deck is called Yummy Fiensmith, but is first called Yummy before Fiensmith, okay? Yummy is your priority. So here my opponent is deciding to go for the Terraforming. And well, obviously this field spell is really strong, but it's really vulnerable too. So I'm just gonna Ogre his ass. And now he don't have any kind of way to keep moving forward because the deck actually demands a lot of bricks. The trap is a brick, Ryo is a brick, this asshole here is a brick too. So, you know, it is what it is again. So, and you know, fuck him over anyways. Gladly, I actually draw a Yummy, which is really fine. So now I'm going to push for the Akruki to get rid of, to push for the materials that their detonator has, right? Because just 2 materials is just 2 pops, and just the engraver threats a lot the existence of the detonator. And this time the Akruki is actually useful, because at least will force one of the materials. If not, this card is going to guarantee me Capsi Yami from the deck, right? Because the engraver by itself will be able to push for the Ryzeal detonator. So obviously because of this, he used the detonator here to get rid of the Akruki. I sent the other engraver because I don't want to put myself in a position when I need the Fiensmith ranking to resolve on the field, because I don't know if he has Ash or whatever the fuck, right? So at this point, I just rather get rid of this and then making my plays with what I have in hand left. Because again, this is Yami Fiensmith. The priority is the Yami. The Fiensmith can be used as something to push everything else, so you can make the Yami safely. So here you can see that we already push for both detonator effects, and now I just need to respect whatever else is in his hand or set here, and that is why I decided to go with normal Gospel, because now I can use this Gospel as an extender, because also at the end of the day, Gospel is not that good of a disruption against neither the Ryzeal engine, for the purpose they use the Ryzeal cards here, or the Blitzclique cards. So here the biggest value that I can actually take is to use it for Almirage. You need fucking Almirage in this deck, okay? So for things like this, like for example, he is right now going to reveal that he has the Altercation. Thanks to the Altercation, he's gonna add the Crackle. Now here is kind of, here I was kind of lucky, you can say, because the alternator couldn't add the Blitzclique that actually shuffled back, and this is very crucial because now that monster, the one that he actually sent back, has an interesting effect that is very worth to remember. Here, if this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can reveal it, then target one card on the field, destroy it. So if he actually would have been able to send anything else back, or he played more than one copy of the Emmy, here he could have popped my Almirage, and then I would have needed to pass anyways, right? So, but at the end of the day, that's the game, right? He still have the disruption of now the Crackle, but with the Almirage, we can play around that very, very easily. Here, because I know the other card is the card that he searches the Crackle with the trap card, instead of trying to go for a synchro here with these two, I'm gonna keep pushing just to use the Snatchy, because this Snatchy resolving with a Yami name in the graveyard is more than enough to just win the duel right here. And whenever he tries to use the Crackle to pop any of my effect monsters, then I can change my Almirage to protect that monster. And this card, remember, says destroy that monster, and if you do, special summon one Thunder from your hand. So by avoiding the destruction by the effect of the Crackle, he will stick with these two assholes in his hand, and then I can just auto-K him. Also, remember that here we're getting a payoff for setting the Dominus Purge, because now I can still use fire monster effects, which is very key here, because now the Crackle does absolutely nothing. So he still is going to try regardless, but I'm going to use the Almirage, the Snatch is protected, and now I can just do all my shit, right? Like I can just go and basically win the duel. Like, well, yeah, that was basically over, right? I was just going to OTK him. Here, I'm going second this time, and this time my only hand trap is the Dominus Purge. As you can see, Lacrima is stuck in my hand like fucking glue. My opponent is going to start here with putting already face up the trap card. This is a very good starter for them, and the best starter for the Ryzeal engine too. So he's going for the sword. Here, obviously, I don't have the threat of losing the push, so I'm not going to use it. And he's going for the Eds. Then he's going to do everything, right? He's dumping the Eclipse Wyvern. He's adding the Node. And here he's just going for the Lugares. And here I think I make a mistake. By the look of the hand, you can see that maybe wasn't that big of a mistake here. But I think that maybe I should have saved the Purge to guarantee stopping any of the Blitzkrieg plays. Because remember that at the end of the day, the Ryzeal cards are not going to search the field spell, are not going to make dual drive, blah blah, and all that shit, right? They're most likely going to do just Detonator and the Dugares. So I think maybe it would have been worth it to save this for after. Now he's going to make bad. Anyways, right? I did it. And now he can just go with this play. Especially because I already saw the Altercator. So the Altercator is going to be kind of an issue here. And that is why I'm saying that maybe I should have saved it. Because now he's guaranteeing the Tapir with the Detonator. And now he's using the Trap card. So here he's gonna search the Emmy. The Emmy will be able to pop the Trap card. It's not affected by the Tapir because it activates from the hand and resolve from the hand. Now he can recover the quick spell to have a disruption in my turn, and can search with the trap card the field spell. And I don't have the purge anymore. So that is what I'm trying to say. I should have saved the purge, I think. But you know, it is what it is. For the next time, I will do it. Because that field spell is just too strong, man. So here he's gonna end up with, you know, also the plus of Falling on the Virtus. And he's just going to pass. So here I have 2 Fiend cards, 2 Yummy names, and the best pod of all time, Pod of Slot, right? So here I'm going to start with actually Fiend Engraver. I wanna make sure that this Pod of Slot gets me the cards that I need to get rid of these interactions. And I'm willing to risk my Engraver getting called by or some shit like that in order to do so, because I really need to get a specific shit in order to deal with both Detonator, the Tapir, and the set cards, right? Like, it's very tough because I need to respect the Surge, because as soon as Detonator pops something, the Surge will dig for the Blitzkrieg boss monster, and because he has cards to pop that are named Blitzkrieg, like the Quick Spell, I will need to respect that shit too. And that is a very strong card, right? So that is what I'm trying to go for here. That is why I search first the track to try to make my deck a little bit smaller, and then I'm using the slot. Like, amazing card, obviously. So I'm gonna draw a shit ton of cards that are basically changing the dynamic of how I'm going to approach the duel now, right? So obviously I'm taking back the Lurie because I have the track. I'm taking back that. What did I take back? Well, the Ash Blossom because I have 2 of them. Then I'm taking back the other Ash Blossom because at the end of the day I'm trying to break the board right now, and I value other kind of cards at this point. I'm sending back the Ogre too because yes, it can get rid of the field spell, but right now I'm worried about other shit, so I need to value other shit in my hand. I send back I think the Lacrima, I'm pretty sure. Yes, the Lacrima. Because I'm not gonna normal summon that fucking Lacrima, right? I value more the chance to make normal summon any of these 2 if my Marshmallow is get rid of some kind of way. So now the last one is one of the 2 Yummy names. I value more the Cookie to be able that whenever I'm making my plays with my Synchros, have the plus of popping a monster while I'm doing it in my own turn. Plus, I don't have anything kind of relevant to send back with Lollipop right here, or even to banish. So here, now I have a perfect hand to deal with everything. I'm gonna Feather Duster his ass right here. He's gonna try to do at least something, yeah. He's sending that back. He's now changing the Falling on the Virtus to have the field spell pop. Now, at this point, he can use the Surge to search anything, because the Tapir is negating still the Surge, even though he popped the field spell right now. That is why I started with the Duster, because you never know what the fuck can happen, right? After, I'm using the Imperm to negate the Tapir, so I can actually make my plays now. Because after I starting my plays, I won't be able to use that Impermanence, right? So now I'm going with the Marshmallow. The Marshmallow is going to put the Linkuribo here because I still need to get rid and respect the combo of the Surge and the Detonator that now are live because I negated the Tapir, right? So going with Linkuribo protects my Snatchy that I eventually will summon, and allows me to have a Link 1 on the field without using any kind of effects while having a monster on the field, because Cookie is not a trigger summon, like it's inherent. And now I can go with the Cookie Yami way to pop both the threats that I still have from my opponent, which is the Surge, possibly searching for the boss Blitzclique monster, and Ryzeal Detonator popping 3 of my cards, right? So now I can just keep playing, because now if Detonator tries to pop my Cookie, I can just bounce as cost and recover my other 2 Yamis and then keep playing still, like without any kind of issue, right? And then I can just play safely. Here my opponent is going to try to detach the twins to pop the tapir actually, because then in resolution he can actually revive it. So I have to deal with it again, right? Which is nice, it's not a bad play. So here I'm just using that as to my advantage to make my Yami monster 2 Yami monsters. Then he's setting both of them so he can trigger the Surge at resolution. Now he's just going to use the twins, but because Marshmallow was revived by the effect of a synchro monster, I can also use that to my advantage, so I can guarantee get rid of that stupid tapir. Because now the Akruki will get rid of it just like nothing. So now obviously they are going back to defense, but who cares, right? Here I try to use Linkuribo, but then I just remember that that I use Dominus Purge, so I can use Linkuribo from the graveyard. That was a misplay on my part. I could have done something different, like normal summon, special summon Marshmallow, normal summon Cookie, and using the Cookie to make Almirage. So now that I have 2 level 1 special summon monsters, and I can use any of them for Almirage, I could have made Linkuribo here. So, you know, little things. Because for saving my normal summon is not that useful if my last card is a special summon, like Track, you know? So a little bit of a misplay here, but it's not going to matter in the big scheme of things. I can just go with the Snatchy anyways, because just don't use the effect because I need the Akruki still. Going for the one that revives 2, chain as a chain 1. Remember to use the synchro as a chain 1, because the Akruki needs to be chain 2 always when with the tapir situation. So the Akruki can pop the tapir, and then because the tapir is not in the field anymore, you can resolve successfully the Yami synchro monster effect. So here I'm just reviving these 2. This one should have been on defense regardless, but you know, nevertheless. And now I'm just going for the track here, because I lack a Link 1 at this point, right? But thanks to the Fiensmith, that again, as I told you, the Fiensmith are very helpful to the Yami in more ways than you may think. In this case, will help a lot because they are a Link 1 monster, obviously, just by themselves, because Requiem is a Link 1. So that's awesome, right? Because now I can just use them to synchro summon. Isn't that stupidly amazing? To me, it's just ridiculous. So, and here I can just go at the Copsy, and the Copsy will get everything else back to me. Because now I can just use the surprise. Because now it's very easy, right? I just have to go. I will use the Reprodocus. I will... Here I should have used this one because this one should be on defense. That was just a mistake here. But at the end of the day, I will just have to leave the other synchro here and use this one for the Reprodocus shit. Here, I didn't use Engraver because I would rather have access to the Desire, and if I use Engraver here, if the Engraver's graveyard effect, I will have exposed myself to a situation where I will needed one more light thing monster in order to make Desire. And Desire here I think is more important because I still need to actually get rid of the Detonator, right? So Detonator is 2500 defense, and I would like to just try to kill him right now without having any kind of further issues, right? So here's something cool that you can do to get a lot of damage and to get rid of the monsters, even if you are locked under the Dominus Purge, is you go for the Decidem and then you activate Track to make Fusion Summon. And you just go with the Fusion, because the Fusion don't require Engraver, just 2 light thing monsters, unlike the Decidem. And then you have exactly the light thing monster in the graveyard to use Desire effect and get rid of something. So that is how I'm just... avoiding using 2 attacks on Ryzeal Detonator, which is going to be very helpful. And at the same time, I'm having 4200 damage already on the board with these 2. You can say that Desiree can't negate anymore, but who gives a shit, right? I'm about to kill, so I'll rather use that sequence in the graveyard as fodder, so to use Desiree's graveyard effect, than thinking about, you know, the next turn, because I am already winning regardless. Here I'm using the surprise, and now I'm using the snatchy effect, and that we didn't use, remember? So now that after we do all this shit, we can exchange the Akruki with the minion. You need to consider that I already used Marshmallow effect this turn, so the shot of using the surprise to bounce 2 and then using the effect to special summon in the same turn is not possible, because Marshmallow can recover surprise, because I already used Marshmallow to put the Akruki on the field. That is why I need to do all this wish shit with the Desiree to get rid of the detonator. You need to consider that and to remember that. So now, just for the lols, I'm just showing to my opponent that he's not even be able to set anything with his fusion, because now Lollipop is going to send back that shit. And then we just go battle, right? Again, yes, this should have been on defense, but the only difference will have been this being in the graveyard and this being on the field on attack. And with the plus of the minion, it's still enough damage to still win the duel. I will attack with that synchro, and then the other 4 will be in game anyways. So you can see how Jamie Fiensmith is in a very, very high top tier position against the Blitzclique, even the Blitzclique Ryzeal shit, because of how the deck works and the non-engine that you can play, like Push, Pot of Slot, and you know, etc. So if you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your people. Don't forget to give it a shot to my Metafile. Again, over 5 hours of content that will become 6, then 7, and most likely 8, just for $20. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.